Good evening, everyone. So glad you could join me for another Monday night stamp and share for the month of June. We have been featuring the Handsomely Suited stamp set and die set, so we're going to continue in that vein tonight. We're going to be working with this card. This is the stamp set, and there's a coordinating die set. Let me show you that. So there's the stamps. You have some ties, some bow ties, and some greetings. And then the suit and tie dies. You have a variety of really cute dies that you could use. We always tend to struggle with masculine cards, and this is the perfect set to do some really cool things. So I want to show you this card for tonight. I love this card. We're going to do this card. Now this particular setup or design, because of the colors, because of the way I put it together, this would make a great wedding card. For me, my anniversary is next week. This will make a great anniversary card. It very well may be the one that I use for that. But you could also think larger. So if you, instead of the black bow tie and lapel, let's say you went with red, and you could still use the vellum, but maybe the piece underneath the dress part was red, you could use it for a Valentine's card. Or you could use some other color completely, and it could be any kind of celebration. It could be New Year's, it could be celebrate your birthday, it could be any kind of big celebration type thing that you wanted to acknowledge just by changing up some colors. So don't lock into a box and say, well, I don't need a wedding card. Change it up, change the colors up, and you can have a whole different look to the card. So let's talk about how we're going to make this card. So the card base is the traditional card size. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of basic white that are 4 by 5 1/4. And then you're going to need a piece of vellum that is 2 5/8 by 4. That is half of the basic white piece. That will be 1/2 of it. And I ran this through my embossing machine with the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder and gave it this really neat texture to make it kind of a lacy, fancy dress look. So that's how I did that, just using this folder. And then you're going to need a scrap of, I used Blushing Bride for my pink to make the neckline for the lady's dress. You could use a different pink if you wanted. You could choose, whatever skin tone that you wanted. Just look through your colors and see what skin tone would match what you need. I'm going to be using Blushing Bride, and it just has to be a scrap. You don't need a big piece for this. And then you're going to need a scrap of the black. And I die cut the lapel. Let me show you the die cut pieces that I used for this. So you're going to need to die cut one of these in the black. And then I also die cut a bow tie in the black. Okay? Now there's one more die that we're going to be using today out of the set, and it's this piece here. It's just a big V. We're going to use that to get our neckline. So I'm going to keep that out so that we can use that. But let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my Wink of Stella, and I don't know if it shows up on the card, but there's some sparkle on the lapel and on the bow tie. And I just did that with Wink of Stella. But let me give you a secret with the Wink of Stella. If you squeeze too hard, it's going to put more of a white sparkly film over this than just the sparkle. So you really want to be careful with how much you squeeze on that. You just want to get it started and have a little bit of glitter coming out rather than squeezing it and having all this white come out. So what I'm going to do to start with, because we want to give this time to dry while we do the rest of the card, I'm just going to come in with the Wink of Stella, and I'm just doing a light clear coating. Like I said, I'm not squeezing hard because I don't want this to be a white coat. I just want it to be a real thin, glittery look. So I'm just going to put this on here. Sometimes the temptation with the Wink of Stella might be to really squeeze and get the glitter out there. But if you do that, and always make sure you shake it up, your Wink of Stella, because if you don't, you're just going to get globs. And then that's going to never be what you're wanting, and then you're going to get frustrated because you're going to feel like the project didn't turn out the way you want it. So just be mindful that you think about that with the Wink of Stella. Okay, so I'm just going to put that aside to dry, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the bow tie. I just wanted mine to be glittery and formal, and you know, if you were going for a different look and you didn't want the sparkle, you could skip this step. But I definitely wanted mine to have that sparkle. So I'm going to go ahead with the Wink of Stella. Okay. So I've just got a good coat on there, but not too thick where I wanted it to be clear instead of white. So I'm going to set this aside. And we're going to start working on putting the card together. So I'm going to bring this one back in to show you what I did. The first thing that I did was attached my embossed vellum piece to my white cardstock piece. And the reason I went ahead and did this at this point is because when I die cut the neckline, I want them to match up. If you try to do them separately, you're going to have trouble matching them up. So I wanted to just go ahead and put this on so when I run it through the die cut to get my neckline, it's going to be perfectly aligned. I went ahead and used my Stampin' Seal to adhere this. It's not going to show. I know sometimes we worry about our adhesive showing through our vellum, but number one, the embossing is so intricate that you're just not going to see the adhesive. So I just used my Stampin' Seal. You could always use a clear liquid glue. The Tombow glue works perfect for this as well. So I'm just going to line this up on the edge. Getting it on the one side, and I'm going to press that down. Now I'm going to bring in because it's easier to see, the die cut machine takes up so much space. I'm not going to do the actual die cut on screen, but I'm going to set it up on screen so you can see what I'm going to do, and then I'll just take it to the side and die cut it. You know your machine, you know what it takes for the sandwich for your particular machine. I'm using a Cuttlebug. I hope to move up to the Stampin' Up. There's the mini embossing machine and the regular one. I hope to have that in the near future, but for now, this is what I'm using. Okay, so I'm just going to figure out, you could do as deep of a neckline or as light of a neckline as you want. Now you could measure this to make sure you're getting it exactly in the center. I'm just going to eyeball it, and I think that looks really good. So that's what I'm going to do with it. And I need to move this over just a tad so I can get it completely on my embossing, my die cut sandwich. You can't run it through if it's hanging off the side. So I'm just going to take this over, and I will keep talking as I do this, so you'll know what I'm doing. And you might find it helpful to use a piece of Post-it note or a piece of low-tack tape to hold that in place, especially if you're using one of the magnetic platforms underneath your die-cut sandwich, because it can jump on you. So that's another thing to think about. So here I'm going to take this off, and I've got my die cut. I've got my neckline. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this out of the way, and we're done with this V. So I'm going to move that, and I'm going to bring in my Blushing Bride piece, and this is just going to go, I have way bigger of a piece than I need. You just need a small piece. But what you want to think about when you adhere this is you don't want to put adhesive all the way across, because then it will show in your neckline. Okay? So I'm just going to put adhesive down the two sides. Across the bottom. And I'm just going to go a little on the edges. I'm not going to come in too far, because I want to make sure there's none on my neckline. And then I'm just going to turn this over and line this up at the top. And press it down. And there we have our neckline. Our bride's dress is ready to go. I think this would be really cute to do with reds for a Valentine's card. I think that would be really awesome to do. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, while my Wink of Stella is still drying, I'm gonna bring in the card base, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this other piece of basic white on the inside. Now, I'm not doing any decorating of it. You would definitely want to do that before you send your card out or handwrite a personal message. But in this case, because I don't know if I'm going to use it for a wedding, I don't know if I'm going to use it for an anniversary, I'm going to wait to do all that when I'm actually ready to use the card. One of these is probably definitely going to be an anniversary card, but then the other one, and you know, June's the month for weddings, it seems. You've always heard of June brides. So I did not stamp the inside because I wanted to leave it based on what I would need. So I'm just going to put some Stamp and Seal all the way around this. And I'm just going to bring in my card base, this around, and I'm just going to line that up like that and press it down, and we've got that part done. So now I'm going to bring back in our piece that we're working with here to make our suit, and I'm going to bring in my lapel piece. Now you can decide. I knew that I wanted my point in the middle of the tuck side. I knew that I wanted the point in the middle, but you can decide if you want it to come all the way down, if you want it, you know, to be up here farther. I wanted mine to come all the way down towards the middle. So what I did, I'm going to use the liquid glue for this. And I'm just going to come in and put some liquid glue on the back. And when I get down to the little point part, I'm just going to do like a dot. I'm just dabbing little dots of the liquid glue. That's all you'll need. You don't need a ton of glue for this. And I'm just going to go ahead all the way up to the top. Just like that. And you don't have to get it all the way to the points because we're going to be trimming that, okay? So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to bring this back in. And I start with putting my point where I want it. I like my point there. And then I just kind of let it fall naturally. And then you do have the ability to do a little bit of moving with it if you want to move it in any direction. So I'm just going to press that down. Now I have a pair of scissors that I only use when I'm cutting something that might be sticky, as in this case. That's all I cut with them. Because I don't want to have 2 or 3 pairs of scissors that have gummy stuff on them. So this is I just use this when I could have adhesive on it. And so I'm trimming it from the back. I think that's always easier to trim from the back. And I'm just trimming the parts that's sticking over the edge. So just like that. This really goes together pretty easy. It gives you a wow factor, but it really is pretty easy to put together. So I'm going to get rid of those little sticky pieces. So there we have that. And I'm going to wait and put the bow tie on in a moment after we adhere this to the card base. So I'm going to go ahead and put my Stampin' Seal on the back so we can get this adhered to the card base. Surprisingly enough, we're almost done with this card. It really does go together really quickly. And you just have so much that you can do just by changing the colors. So lots of options here. So I'm going to bring my card base here. This is where we put it on the inside. So I'm just going to flip this over because this is going to go on the outside. And I'm just going to line this up where I want it. Just like that. And press it down. Just like that. And I used, for my bow tie, I used glue dots because I wanted to give it a little bit of height to it and not have it lay flat. And I just did one on each end and one in the middle. So then you can just place this wherever you want it here in the middle. And press that down. And then I'm going to use the, I'm going to be using the black matte dots and the pearl looking gems. So let's start with the easy side. Let's do the guy's side. You can use, there's different size dots that you can use, and so you can decide if you wanted, you know, you could use big buttons if you like the look of that. I use these smaller ones, and you can put as many as you want down the front. So these are going to serve as my buttons. So I'm just going to come in with my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to space them out. Just like that. And I could leave it at 3, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and add one more. Okay. So we've got that side of the tux done. Now I'm going to come in with the pearls, and I just put them in a semicircle at the top of the neckline because I just wanted to make a pearl type necklace. Okay, so I'm going to start with this top corner one. I did not measure it out to make sure everything was perfectly centered as far as my curvature of my necklace. I just kind of eyeballed it. So I'm just going to come in here with my pearls. Just like that. Just trying to make a pearl necklace, to give it the look of a pearl necklace. Okay, so I'm just going to keep working this around in a semicircle. I think one more and I have it. Just like that. And that gives her the look of a necklace. And then I just want to put some down the front for buttons. And it's the same way. You could use the smaller ones, you could use the larger ones. If you notice on the one that I showed at the beginning, for down the front of the dress, I used the larger ones. For this one, I'm going to compare the look by using the smaller buttons, just to see how different it looks just by using a different size button. So let me use the smaller ones down the front this time, just to give it a different look. And you could even change up the look. You know, if you were doing a red dress, you could use the clear gems that we have, and that would give a really neat look. I don't know if you know this, but with the clear gems, you can color them with your Stampin' Blends, so you could make it coordinate really well that way. So lots that you can do. We are just really almost done with this card. Tonight's a pretty short video. Okay. Move that out of the way. I'm just going to kind of line these up a little bit. You have a little bit of time before you think I like that. And then I'm just going to fold this. So here's the difference in the look. This one's the little buttons, a little more dainty of a look. This has the larger buttons. This one I was a little heavier with the Wink of Stella. This one I was a little, just a little softer with it. So different looks depending on what you're looking for, what you want to do. So there you have it. You could do a different color. You could do like something different with the bow tie to make it more dressed up. You could use a colored bow tie if you wanted to do that and leave the black trim, or you could do a white lapel, so you had a white tux with a white lapel and then a colored bow tie. You could add something across here to look like a cummerbund that you could see through the portion right there where the suit jacket comes together. So there's just a lot you could do, and it just really dresses up the card, makes it look like a really cool wedding card or anniversary card. Now I chose not to put a greeting on the front. I didn't want a greeting to go across the dress. So what I would do is stamp my congratulations on your wedding or your happy anniversary or whatever celebration. I would put all that on the inside. You could always add something here on the front if you wanted. I like the elegance of the tux and dress look without having any writing on there. So that's why I did it this way. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you'll play around. Make a few of them with different colors and different beading and maybe even try a different embossing folder to see what kind of look that gives you. Just really play around with it. You could make this more of a suit look than a tux look. So just play around, see what you can come up with. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you get creative with it. Thanks for joining me tonight for Stamp and Share, and I'll be back again next Monday.